Have you ever wondered why some people remain calm while everything around them falls apart? It is not because they have fewer problems. It is not because life has chosen to be kinder to them. It is because they have discovered something that most people spend their entire lives searching for, but rarely find. They have learned that peace is not hidden in the world outside. It is cultivated in the world within. While others desperately try to control people, situations, and outcomes, they quietly master the only thing that has ever truly belonged to them: their own mind. Look closely at the world around you. Every day, millions of people wake up already exhausted. Their emotions are controlled by notifications, opinions, disappointments, and expectations. One careless word ruins their entire day. One unexpected failure convinces them to give up. One moment of uncertainty fills them with fear. They become prisoners of circumstances because they never learned how to become masters of themselves. They search endlessly for calm in places where calm can never exist. But imagine another way of living. Imagine standing in the middle of uncertainty without panic. Imagine hearing criticism without losing your confidence. Imagine facing failure without losing your direction. Imagine walking through chaos while carrying complete stillness within you. This is not a gift reserved for a chosen few. It is a skill. It is a discipline. And like every discipline, it can be developed by anyone willing to train consistently. The strongest person in the room is rarely the loudest. The wisest mind is rarely the busiest. Real strength does not announce itself through anger, arguments, or endless explanations. It reveals itself through presence, through patience, through the ability to remain centered when everyone else is pulled apart by emotion. A calm mind is not passive. It is incredibly powerful because it sees clearly while others react blindly. Life will continue to test you. It will place obstacles in your path, bring people who misunderstand you, and create moments that challenge every belief you hold about yourself. You cannot stop these storms from arriving, but you can become the mountain that remains unmoved, no matter how fiercely the wind blows. Every challenge you face can either shake your foundation or strengthen it. The difference is determined by the condition of your mind. Today is not about escaping problems. It is about becoming greater than them. It is about discovering the quiet strength that cannot be bought, borrowed, or given by another person. It is about building a mind so disciplined that fear cannot command it, anger cannot poison it, and uncertainty cannot break it. Because when your mind becomes truly calm, the world may continue to change around you, but nothing will ever have the power to shake the person you have become. Most people believe that calm appears when life finally becomes easy. They tell themselves, once my problems are solved, then I will be peaceful. Once I have enough money, enough time, enough certainty, then my mind will rest. But life has never made such a promise. There will always be another challenge waiting beyond the one you have just overcome. There will always be uncertainty, unexpected changes, criticism, disappointment, and moments that test your patience. If your peace depends on the world becoming quiet, then your peace will never arrive. True calm is not something you discover at the end of a perfect journey. It is something you build while walking through an imperfect one. Think of a blacksmith shaping a piece of steel. The metal does not become stronger by avoiding the fire. It becomes stronger because it passes through it repeatedly. Your mind is no different. Every difficult conversation, every unexpected setback, every delay, every failure, and every uncomfortable emotion becomes another opportunity to shape the strength within you. The question is never whether hardship will come. The real question is, whether you will allow hardship to train you or control you. Many people spend their lives chasing comfort instead of developing stability. They avoid difficult conversations because they fear discomfort. They run from silence because they fear their own thoughts. They distract themselves every moment of the day because stillness feels unfamiliar. Yet every escape weakens the mind a little more. Every avoidance teaches the mind that discomfort is something dangerous. Over time, even small inconveniences begin to feel overwhelming. A delayed message creates anxiety. A small criticism creates anger. A simple mistake creates self-doubt. The world has not become more difficult. The mind has simply become less prepared. A disciplined mind sees discomfort differently. Instead of asking, "How can I escape this feeling?" it asks, "What is this moment trying to teach me?" This small shift changes everything. Challenges stop becoming enemies and begin becoming teachers. Patience is developed while waiting. Courage is developed while feeling fear. Compassion is developed while facing pain. Self-control is developed when emotions invite you to react, but wisdom asks you to remain still. Every quality you admire in another person was built through repeated moments of practice, not through effortless living. Consider the tallest tree standing firmly through a violent storm. Its strength was not created on the day the storm arrived. It was created over many seasons as its roots reached deeper into the earth. In the same way, calm is built long before life demands it from you. The quiet habits you practice every morning, the moments when you choose reflection instead of reaction, the times you breathe before speaking, the discipline of observing your thoughts instead of believing every one of them. These are the roots that hold you steady when life begins to shake. This is why small daily practices matter far more than dramatic moments of inspiration. Waiting to feel motivated before training the mind is like waiting for perfect weather before learning to sail. Real growth happens through consistency. Spend a few moments each day sitting in silence without reaching for distraction. Learn to observe your thoughts without immediately following them. Notice how emotions rise and fall like waves without needing to control your actions. With each repetition, you teach your mind that it does not need to chase every impulse or fear every feeling. Gradually, something remarkable begins to happen. Situations that once disturbed you lose their power. The opinion of someone else no longer defines your worth. Delays no longer steal your peace. Failure no longer becomes evidence that you are incapable. You begin responding with clarity rather than reacting from emotion. Others may wonder why you remain composed while everything around you appears chaotic. They may assume you simply have fewer problems. But the truth is very different. Your life has not necessarily become easier. Your mind has become stronger. The greatest mistake is believing that calm is a personality trait that some people are born with while others are not. Calm is a discipline. It is the result of countless unseen choices made every single day. It is built each time you refuse to feed unnecessary anger. It grows every time you replace complaint with gratitude, impulse with awareness, and fear with steady observation. It is strengthened whenever you choose purpose over comfort and wisdom over immediate emotional satisfaction. Eventually, this discipline becomes your nature, and what once required effort begins to feel as natural as breathing. Because the calm you searched for was never waiting somewhere outside of you, it was being patiently built within you. Through every conscious choice you were willing to make, every action you repeat shapes the direction of your mind. This truth is simple, yet most people overlook it because they expect transformation to come from one powerful moment instead of thousands of ordinary ones. They wait for a life-changing event, a burst of motivation, or the perfect opportunity to become mentally strong. But the mind does not change because of what inspires it occasionally. It changes because of what it practices consistently, just as a path through a forest becomes visible. Only after it has been walked many times, the pathways within your mind become stronger with every repeated thought, emotion, and action. Imagine your mind as a vast garden. Every thought you entertain is like planting a seed. Some seeds grow into patience, courage, gratitude, and wisdom. Others grow into fear, resentment, doubt, and anger. The garden does not decide what to grow on its own. It simply nurtures whatever is planted and repeatedly cared for. If every day you water negative thoughts by replaying past mistakes, worrying about the future, or comparing yourself with others, those thoughts will grow deep roots. Eventually, they begin to feel like your identity. But they are not your identity. They are simply the result of repeated attention. Many people believe they cannot control their thoughts because they appear automatically. It is true that thoughts arise without permission, but what you choose to do with them is entirely different. You cannot stop clouds from moving across the sky, but you can decide whether to chase every cloud or remain firmly on the ground. The disciplined mind understands this difference. It notices fear without feeding it. It notices anger without allowing it to become action. It notices doubt without accepting it as truth. Awareness creates space, and within that space lies freedom. Your habits silently train your thinking far more than dramatic moments ever will. If your morning begins with rushing, checking endless notifications, and filling your mind with noise, you are teaching your brain to live in distraction. If every challenge is met with complaint, your mind learns that complaining is the natural response to difficulty. If every uncomfortable feeling sends you searching for entertainment or escape, your mind learns that discomfort must always be avoided. Without realizing it, you become a student of the habits you repeat. The opposite is equally true. Each morning you choose silence instead of immediate distraction. You strengthen your ability to focus. Each time you pause before reacting in anger, you reinforce patience. Every moment you remain present instead of worrying about tomorrow, you deepen your capacity for peace. These changes may feel small, almost invisible, but the mind remembers every repetition. What feels difficult today becomes easier tomorrow because your brain is constantly adapting to the patterns you practice. Think about someone learning to play a musical instrument. On the first day, every movement feels awkward. The fingers hesitate, the rhythm is uncertain, and mistakes happen constantly. But through daily practice, the impossible slowly becomes effortless. The hands begin to move without conscious effort because repetition has created mastery. Training the mind follows the same principle. At first, remaining calm during criticism feels unnatural. Choosing gratitude in difficult moments feels forced. Sitting quietly with your own thoughts may even feel uncomfortable. Yet each repetition strengthens the mental pathways that support these qualities until they become part of who you are. This is why protecting your attention is one of the greatest responsibilities you have. Whatever consistently captures your attention eventually shapes your character. If your attention is consumed by fear-driven news, endless comparison, and constant negativity, your inner world will reflect that environment. If your attention is directed toward meaningful work, mindful reflection, learning, and acts of kindness, your character gradually transforms in the same direction. Attention is like sunlight. Whatever it shines upon grows stronger. There will be days when your practice feels ineffective. You may wonder whether your small efforts are making any difference. This is where many people give up because they expect immediate results. But growth beneath the surface often remains invisible long before it becomes visible. A seed spends a long time developing roots before it ever breaks through the soil. Likewise, every moment of discipline is strengthening your mind, even when you cannot yet see the outcome. Trust the process rather than demanding instant proof. Eventually, you begin to notice subtle but powerful changes. Situations that once overwhelmed you no longer control your emotions. Your focus lasts longer. Your reactions become slower and wiser. You stop believing every fearful thought that enters your mind. Confidence begins to replace anxiety, not because life has become predictable, but because your mind has learned a new way of responding. You realize that mental strength was never the result of extraordinary talent or perfect circumstances. It was built one thought, one habit, one decision, and one deliberate moment of awareness at a time, until your daily practice became the quiet force that shaped the person you were becoming. In a world that celebrates constant noise, silence has become one of the rarest forms of strength. Many people believe power is found in speaking louder, reacting faster, defending every opinion, and proving themselves at every opportunity. They mistake volume for confidence and impulsive reactions for courage. But if you observe those who possess genuine inner strength, you will notice something very different. They do not rush to fill every moment with words. They do not feel compelled to win every argument. They do not allow every emotion to become an action. Their greatest strength is not in what they express, but in what they choose to restrain. Silence is not weakness. It is disciplined awareness. Most conflicts do not begin because of difficult situations. They begin because of uncontrolled reactions. A single careless sentence spoken in anger can damage years of trust. One impulsive decision made out of fear can create consequences that last for months. One emotional response can become a regret that follows you long after the moment has passed. The mind that has never learned to pause becomes a servant to every passing emotion. Anger gives an order, and it obeys. Fear whispers a warning, and it retreats. Pride demands a response, and it immediately speaks. Such a mind is constantly being controlled by whatever feeling happens to be strongest. The calm mind understands a different truth. Between every event and every response, there is a small space. Most people move through that space without noticing it. They react automatically because they have trained themselves to do so. But the disciplined person learns to live inside that space. They breathe before they answer. They observe before they judge. They listen before they speak. In that brief moment of stillness, emotions lose their authority, and wisdom begins to lead. Imagine a deep lake on a quiet morning. When the surface is still, it reflects everything with perfect clarity. But when the water is constantly disturbed by wind and waves, nothing can be seen clearly. Your mind behaves in exactly the same way. When it is filled with endless thoughts, emotional turbulence, and constant distractions, your ability to see reality becomes distorted. You misunderstand people, exaggerate problems, and create unnecessary suffering. Yet when the mind becomes quiet, clarity naturally appears. You begin to recognize what truly deserves your attention and what can simply be allowed to pass. This kind of silence is not merely the absence of speech. It is the absence of unnecessary inner noise. Even while sitting alone, many people continue arguing inside their own minds. They replay conversations from yesterday, imagine problems that have not happened, compare themselves with others, and carry invisible burdens into every moment. Their body may be resting, but their mind never stops moving. This constant mental activity drains energy, clouds judgment, and weakens emotional resilience. Learning to observe your thoughts without immediately following them is one of the greatest forms of self-mastery. Not every thought deserves your belief. Not every emotion deserves your obedience. Thoughts come and go like visitors. Some bring wisdom, while others bring fear, anger, or doubt. If you invite every visitor to stay, your inner world becomes crowded and chaotic. But if you simply acknowledge them and let them pass, your mind remains spacious and peaceful. Silence teaches you that you are not your thoughts. You are the one who observes them. There will be moments when people misunderstand your silence. Some may assume you have nothing to say. Others may believe your calmness is a lack of confidence. Resist the temptation to explain yourself constantly. A tree does not prove its strength by making noise. It proves it by standing firmly through every season. Likewise, your character is revealed not through endless words, but through consistent actions. When your decisions are guided by wisdom instead of emotion, your life begins to speak louder than your voice ever could. Practicing silence also transforms the way you relate to others. Instead of listening merely to prepare your next response, you begin to listen with genuine presence. You notice emotions hidden behind words. You recognize that everyone carries struggles you cannot see. Compassion grows because silence creates space for understanding. The quieter your ego becomes, the more clearly you perceive the humanity in those around you. Every day offers countless opportunities to strengthen this quiet power. Pause before replying to criticism. Sit in silence for a few minutes without reaching for your phone. Walk without filling every moment with entertainment. Allow yourself to experience stillness without trying to escape it. At first, silence may feel uncomfortable because it reveals the restless habits of your mind. But if you remain patient, that discomfort gradually transforms into clarity. What once felt empty becomes deeply nourishing. What once seemed difficult becomes a source of strength. Over time, you discover that the most powerful voice you will ever hear is not the one speaking to the world, but the quiet wisdom that rises from within when the mind is finally still, and nothing outside of you can disturb the peace you have carefully cultivated through patient awareness and disciplined restraint. It is easy to believe that you know who you are when life is comfortable. Confidence comes naturally when everything is going according to plan. Patience feels effortless when no one challenges you. Kindness is simple when everyone treats you with respect. But comfort reveals very little about the true quality of your mind. It is only when life becomes difficult that your inner foundation is exposed. Challenges are not sent into your life merely to create suffering. They arrive to reveal what has already been built within you. They expose your habits, your fears, your strengths, and the areas that still require discipline. Imagine a sword being forged in fire. The intense heat does not destroy the steel. It removes its weaknesses. Every strike of the hammer shapes it into something stronger than it was before. Your mind follows the same principle. Every disappointment, every rejection, every failure, and every unexpected obstacle becomes another opportunity to remove the habits that no longer serve you. If you avoid every challenge, you also avoid the process that develops wisdom. Growth has never been born from comfort alone. It is born from meeting resistance with awareness instead of fear. Many people see problems as interruptions to their lives. They complain, "Why is this happening to me?" They become frustrated because reality does not match their expectations. They expect success without setbacks, relationships without misunderstandings, and progress without discomfort. When life refuses to follow their plans, they feel as though something has gone wrong. But difficulties are not exceptions to life. They are part of life itself. The sooner you stop resisting this truth, the sooner you begin to discover the strength that has been waiting beneath your fears. Think about the strongest tree in a forest. It did not become strong because every season brought perfect weather. It became strong because it survived powerful winds, heavy rain, harsh sunlight, and freezing winters. Every season forced its roots to grow deeper into the earth. Had the storms never arrived, its roots would have remained shallow, and the first strong wind would have brought it down. In the same way, every hardship you face invites your character to grow deeper. The question is not whether the storm is unfair. The question is whether you are willing to let it strengthen your roots. One of the greatest transformations occurs when you stop asking, "How do I escape this challenge?" and begin asking, "What can this challenge teach me?" That single change in perspective turns obstacles into lessons. Failure begins teaching humility. Waiting develops patience. Criticism reveals whether your confidence depends on the approval of others. Uncertainty teaches trust in your own judgment. Loss reminds you to value what truly matters. Every difficult experience carries wisdom for those willing to learn instead of merely endure. This does not mean you should enjoy suffering or seek out unnecessary hardship. Wisdom is not found in pain itself. Wisdom is found in the way you respond to pain. Two people can experience the same setback. One becomes bitter, blaming the world for every disappointment. The other becomes wiser, using the experience to understand themselves more deeply. The difference is never the challenge alone. The difference is the condition of the mind meeting that challenge. There will be moments when life feels unfair. You may give your best effort and still fail. You may act with kindness and still be misunderstood. You may remain honest while others succeed through dishonesty. In these moments, your character is being examined more than your circumstances. Will you abandon your principles because life has become difficult, or will you remain faithful to the values you claim to believe in? Anyone can act with integrity when it is easy. True integrity appears when compromise seems more convenient. Every challenge also reveals where attachment exists. If a small criticism destroys your confidence, perhaps your identity depends too heavily on praise. If a minor delay creates intense frustration, perhaps your peace depends too much on control. If another person's success creates jealousy, perhaps your happiness has become tied to comparison. These moments are not punishments. They are mirrors. They show you the hidden places within yourself that still seek freedom. The disciplined mind does not fear being tested because it understands that every test is an opportunity to become stronger. Instead of running from discomfort, it walks through it with awareness. Instead of allowing emotions to dictate every decision, it observes them with patience. Over time, the same situations that once created panic begin to create confidence. The same obstacles that once seemed impossible become familiar training grounds. You realize that life was never trying to break you. It was preparing you for a level of strength that comfort alone could never produce. And every challenge you embraced with courage became another step towards building a mind that remains steady, regardless of what the world places in your path. The greatest victory you will ever achieve is not over another person. It is not found in defeating an opponent, proving yourself right, gaining status, or collecting admiration from the world. Those victories are temporary because they all depend on circumstances that can change at any moment. The highest form of mastery is the ability to govern yourself. When you become the leader of your own thoughts, emotions, desires, and actions, you discover a freedom that no external success can ever provide. A person who cannot control themselves will always be controlled by something else. Look carefully at the lives of most people. They believe they are making their own choices, yet their decisions are often directed by invisible forces. They wake up because an alarm tells them to. They reach for their phone before they even become aware of their own thoughts. Their mood changes according to someone else's opinion. Their confidence rises with praise and falls with criticism. They buy things they do not need to impress people they barely know. They become angry because another person chose harsh words. They become anxious because the future refuses to reveal itself. They call this freedom, but it is simply another form of dependence. When your emotions are controlled by every event around you, your peace no longer belongs to you. If one insult can ruin your day, then your happiness is in someone else's hands. If one failure convinces you to give up, then your determination depends on success. If one unexpected obstacle destroys your focus, then your purpose is weaker than your circumstances. The world gains power over you whenever your inner state depends entirely on what happens outside of you. Self-mastery begins with recognizing this truth. You cannot always control what happens, but you can learn to control how you meet it. You cannot stop people from misunderstanding you, but you can choose not to let misunderstanding become bitterness. You cannot prevent disappointment, but you can decide whether disappointment becomes wisdom or despair. This shift changes the entire direction of your life because your energy is no longer wasted trying to dominate the uncontrollable. Instead, it is invested where it has always belonged, within yourself. Imagine a skilled sailor crossing a vast ocean. The sailor cannot command the wind. The waves do not obey personal wishes. Storms appear without asking permission. Yet an experienced sailor reaches the destination because attention is placed on adjusting the sails rather than arguing with the weather. Life works in the same way. You cannot command every circumstance, but you can strengthen your response. Every day gives you another opportunity to adjust your inner sails instead of complaining about the direction of the wind. This requires discipline, because the ego constantly seeks control over others before it learns to govern itself. It wants recognition before it develops character. It wants respect before it earns trust. It wants comfort before it has built resilience. The disciplined mind reverses this order. It understands that lasting influence is never forced. It grows naturally from a person whose actions consistently reflect integrity, patience, and wisdom. Such a person no longer needs to convince others of their strength, because their presence quietly demonstrates it. There will always be temptations pulling your attention away from this path. Anger will invite you to react immediately. Fear will encourage you to retreat before taking action. Pride will whisper that admitting mistakes is weakness. Laziness will persuade you that tomorrow is a better day to begin. Each of these voices competes for authority over your life. Every time you choose awareness instead of impulse, you reclaim a little more of your freedom. Every time you act according to your values instead of your emotions, your character becomes stronger. True mastery is not perfection. Even the most disciplined person experiences moments of frustration, doubt, sadness, and uncertainty. The difference is that these emotions no longer become the rulers of their decisions. They are acknowledged without being obeyed. They are felt without becoming permanent identities. A calm mind understands that emotions are visitors, not masters. They arrive, they teach, and they eventually leave, if you stop holding on to them. As this understanding deepens, something remarkable begins to change. You stop seeking constant approval because your worth no longer depends on applause. You stop fearing criticism because you know your values better than your critics do. You stop comparing your journey with everyone else's because your purpose becomes more important than competition. The noise of the world gradually loses its influence over your decisions. Your confidence no longer rises and falls with every success or failure. Instead, it is rooted in the quiet knowledge that you have become someone who can be trusted by yourself. When you finally master your own mind, the world does not suddenly become easier. Challenges continue to arrive, uncertainty still exists, and people remain imperfect. But these things no longer possess the ability to command your inner world. You walk through success without becoming arrogant, through failure without becoming defeated, through praise without becoming attached, and through criticism without becoming broken. Because the strongest person is never the one who controls everyone around them, but the one who has learned to govern themselves with unwavering discipline, quiet humility, and an inner stability that nothing outside can ever take away.